Switching to COVID, lots of topics under that category. Mask mandates. How do you feel about Act 102, mask mandates? Should they be required? What are your thoughts?
The mask mandates, I think that honestly the worst mistake that was made in handling it here in Arkansas in particular was when they put a blanket ban on the ability to put a mandate in place. Anytime you're dealing with a situation like COVID, where it is a viral outbreak, it's a fluid situation, it changes from one place to another. Obviously early on we saw Arkansas numbers weren't that high, New York was exploding, and that was the big narrative is, oh, we're not New York, we don't need to do the same thing. Well, no, a virus isn't going to transmit that quick. It takes incubation time. It takes a basic understanding of science to know that the writing is on the wall. This is how these things go. So to remove the ability from each individual municipality to actually protect themselves when the situation called for it, that was the real problem. It wasn't a matter of putting in a blanket statewide mandate. It was a matter of removing the ability for the individual locations to protect themselves. And I will say the further problem that I saw with it was that when mandates were spoken about, we had leaders and law enforcement officials who were openly and vocally refusing to enforce them.
What about vaccinations? Do you think the state should require state employees to get vaccinated? If not, do you think they should make the employee test weekly? And what about private businesses? Should they be under that same rule?
I think that the incentivizing program that President Biden put in, where using the OSHA requirements to where if you're not, that you incur fines, I think that was kind of a genius way to work around. As far as myself personally, this is where it gets kind of down to the wire on. On a personal note, me as Russ, yes, I would 100% support it because it's the right thing to do. It is my duty to protect you by ensuring that I am vaccinated, not so that I can't spread it, but so that I have less severe symptoms in the event that I get it, and I'm not taking up a hospital bed if you're in need of it. There's a duty to one another that fulfills. As governor and as trying to protect everyone's freedoms and ability to choose on things, strongly encourage. However, if someone doesn't want to, if they have an underlying health condition, if they're not sure of it, if they aren't up on the scientific literature, okay, let's look at what we can do on this. Is that person's position something that could be moved to virtual, to where if you do not want to vaccinate, that's fine. You can work remotely where you're not going to impact and jeopardize anyone else. Can we do this as an isolation thing? So that we need leaders who can think outside the box and stuff and not look at something and say, well, it's a black and white issue.